In the early hours of the morning, massive explosions rocked southern Israel as one of its key air bases was reportedly obliterated in a surprise strike. This sudden and devastating attack has plunged the entire region into a new spiral of chaos, reigniting a conflict many hoped was over. Today, we'll break down what really happened, who's behind the attack, how Israel's intelligence failed to prevent it, and what this means for the next phase of Middle Eastern warfare. Reports from multiple defense observers confirm that the airbase hit was one of Israel's most strategic installations, a hub for F-35 stealth fighters, drones, and electronic warfare systems. Satellite images show massive craters, destroyed hangars, and burning fuel depots stretching across the base. For decades, this facility was considered untouchable, protected by the Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow defense systems. But last night, all those defenses failed in spectacular fashion. The question everyone is asking: who carried out the strike? Initial Israeli military statements were vague, claiming a foreign adversary had launched long-range missiles. But intelligence leaks now suggest a coordinated assault from multiple fronts. According to regional sources, the attack may have been a combined operation involving Iranian-backed militias, possibly with Yemen's Houthi forces launching ballistic missiles and Lebanese Hezbollah using precision-guided rockets. At around 2:45 a.m., radar operators detected multiple projectiles entering Israeli airspace from the south and northeast simultaneously. Within seconds, alarms blared across several southern cities, but it was already too late. The incoming wave included decoy drones designed to overwhelm Israeli radar, followed by high-velocity cruise missiles that penetrated deep into Israeli airspace. The impact was catastrophic. One missile reportedly struck the main aircraft shelter area where several F-35 jets were undergoing maintenance. Unconfirmed footage shows hangars engulfed in flames with secondary explosions suggesting that fuel tanks and weapons storage facilities were hit. Another blast leveled the communications hub, effectively cutting off contact with several squadrons for hours. By dawn, smoke plumes were still visible from miles away. Firefighting units struggled to contain the blaze as Israeli emergency services reported dozens of casualties, including both pilots and ground technicians. The Israeli Air Force scrambled jets from nearby bases, but by the time they took off, the attackers had already vanished, leaving behind a scene of devastation that Israel hasn't seen in decades. Analysts say this strike was far more than just a tactical operation. It was a message. For months, tensions have been simmering between Israel and regional actors after renewed clashes. Just last week, Israeli jets conducted air raids on suspected Iranian arms depots near Damascus. Tehran vowed retaliation, but no one expected it to come this swiftly or with such precision. If Iranian-backed groups are indeed behind the assault, it demonstrates a major evolution in their capabilities. This operation was different. It was synchronized, multi-directional, and clearly aimed at disabling Israel's aerial superiority. Military experts now warn that this could mark the beginning of a new war. Israel's air bases are the cornerstone of its defense strategy. The destruction of even one key base severely limits its ability to respond to multiple threats at once. Within hours of the strike, the Prime Minister convened an emergency cabinet meeting, vowing severe consequences. The Israeli military has raised its alert level to maximum, activating reserve units. But critics within Israel are already asking tough questions. How did the country's billion-dollar defense network fail? Defense analysts say the attack exploited one of Israel's biggest vulnerabilities: over-reliance on static radar systems. The attackers likely studied the Iron Dome's radar coverage gaps, using low-flying drones and cruise missiles to slip past detection. Once the first wave of decoys hit and drew defensive fire, the real strike followed, targeting the base's most critical assets. This wasn't just luck. It was precision warfare. According to intercepted communications, the attack was planned for weeks. The missiles used may have been Iranian-made Quds, 3 or Pava variants, capable of flying low and using terrain masking. Hitting Israel's fortified air bases takes that capability to a new level. Inside Israel, the political reaction has been explosive. Opposition leaders are accusing the government of complacency. Protesters have already gathered in Tel Aviv demanding an investigation into the intelligence failure. Meanwhile, global powers are watching with alarm. The United States has condemned the attack and offered emergency support. However, Washington is also urging restraint, fearing that a massive Israeli retaliation could ignite a broader conflict. Russia and China, on the other hand, have called for de-escalation while quietly blaming regional policies for fueling instability. Arab nations are responding cautiously. Yet, in the streets of Yemen, Lebanon, and Iran, celebrations broke out. As dawn turned to day, Israel began assessing the full scale of the damage. Preliminary reports suggest that at least 6 aircraft were destroyed, with another dozen heavily damaged. Several advanced drones and radar systems were also lost. It may take weeks to fully restore the base's operational capacity. Military experts warn that this could shift the regional balance of power. Israel's Air Force, long seen as untouchable, has now shown its vulnerability. In response, Israel has begun mobilizing ground forces near both Gaza and Lebanon, raising fears of a multi-front war. Fighter jets have already conducted reconnaissance flights over southern Lebanon. At the same time, cyber warfare may also be unfolding. Reports suggest that several Israeli defense networks went offline minutes before the missile barrage, possibly due to a coordinated cyber attack. If confirmed, it would mean Israel's enemies have developed not only the physical weapons to strike its heartland, but also the digital tools to blind its defenses. Internationally, the United Nations Security Council has called for an emergency session. But on the ground, tensions are skyrocketing. If Israel retaliates, which it almost certainly will, the region could plunge into a full-scale war. For now, the world watches as Israel faces one of the most serious challenges to its military dominance in decades. The attack on its key air base isn't just a tactical loss. It's a psychological blow that exposes the limits of even the most advanced defense systems. It sends a clear message. In the era of drones, cyber warfare, and precision missiles, no fortress is truly impregnable. As the smoke clears and Israel counts its losses, one thing is certain. The balance of power in the Middle East has shifted once again. The next few days will determine whether this incident remains an isolated strike or becomes the spark that ignites the next great war in the region.